Hello everybody and welcome back to some more Air Tycoon Online. I just finished my midterm, which I think I oofed on pretty hard, which in my terminology means not so well, but hey, that's over now. I've been getting a pretty good mark in that course so far. It's okay. I can bounce back. But today I kind of just wanted to make some more routes and kind of just explain how much your planes should be making. Now, if you look at it like this, it looks like none of my planes are making that much profit. I'm sorting by profit right now. You see the best routes are only about 3K. Hangzhou to London, Shanghai to London, you name it. But that's not really a fair valuation of these routes because, of course, every single one of my routes is a stopover route. So you have to look at the planes individually to see how much those are making. And let's tap it again so they're in the correct order. And then what you have to do to evaluate how much your planes are making is just add up the two halves. Now, I don't have a list of planes and how much they should be making, but I can tell you that a 707-320B should be making close, but not 4K in general. Some of them will magically make more than 4K, like this one, Hangzhou to London, London to Agadir. This one is making 4.1K, in fact, but most of them should be hovering just below 4K. For a 320B. Now, every single plane is a little bit different. 747 is my favorite because it should be making well over 10K. And one of the reasons for that is something I kind of wanted to explain this episode again. I've done it before, but it always seems to kind of slip people's mind, and that's range breakpoints. Now, the way this game schedules flights is if a plane can make it this many times a week, it'll make it that many times a week. But you fly just a little bit too far and the plane won't make it anymore. Here's an example. If I try and open this route, it'll get 5 schedules per week. You can see the sum of the lengths of the route is about 1,100 kilometers. Let's see if I can find a city just a little bit farther, but not too much farther. I don't think I have a city like that. So let's find a different set of route pairs. So remember this route. It's about 1,200 kilometers or 1,100 kilometers if you add up the two segment lengths, 4.5 or 9.5K and 1.5K. So that sums to about 11K. Now let's take another route. Gotta find a city which I'm not flying to already here. Tucson to London. Is there a single unused route in this area? Jeez. Istanbul, perfect. Okay, well this route is still 5K, so I need to find one a little bit farther even. Let's see if it exists. Alright, Iepo. Let's see this. Perfect. As you can see, the number of schedules has dropped by 1. Now, that doesn't sound like much, but at this range, dropping by 1 schedule per week is dropping 20% of your flights. That's not worth it. Just fly the slightly shorter route, and the closer you can get to the exact range where the number of routes ticks up, the better your route will be. So whenever you're making stopover routes, always make sure you make your routes as close to the maximum length that you can still get on a full set of schedules, which in this case, oops, I actually don't want to make that route, which in this case is about 11,000 kilometers, maybe 11,500. That's about the limit of what I can get away with in terms of routes. So that's going to be what my goal is. My goal is whenever I open a route, I'm going to try and make sure that it's no longer than 11,000 kilometers, but not very much shorter, because we don't get anything from making a route 4 schedules per week instead of 5. You don't get anything back for you. It's just a pure loss. So we don't want to do that. And one thing we do want to do is we need to request more slots in areas to make good stopovers. Like, we can do a good stopover like this. It's a little bit short of the ideal range, something like this, but it still works if you have to. Actually, it doesn't work because the angle is wrong, but yeah. One of my least favorite parts about making a stopover is when it tells me this is not a proper stopover route when the second stop of the route is really, really short. I personally believe it should be a valid stopover because plenty of times in real life, if you're making stopping connections, you're going to be flying the wrong way. For example, one of my relatives lives in Brussels, and every time they fly, they usually go through Amsterdam or Frankfurt before going to Canada, which is just completely the wrong way unless you want to fly on Air France or something like that. And let's be honest, nobody really wants to do that unless they have to. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But you guys get the idea. It's always ideal to like, it's always nice to be able to open stopover routes in any shape, but unfortunately, this game kind of has a very simplistic reasoning for whether or not a stopover should be valid or not, and you know what? We have to live with it. So it's not too bad. But anyways, like with 5 schedules per week like this, it's not bad at all. I also hit my passenger breakpoint, which you saw earlier, so my money is starting to come in that way. I'll show you guys my profit in a bit. It's hovering around 45K. It's going to have gone down a little bit after I ordered all these new aircraft, which have just been sitting here as I've been prepping for my exam, and which I should have prepped for harder, it looks like. Yeah, that's not a grade I'm going to be proud of, but hey, sometimes you got to do, like, you get what you get, you get what you put in, and I didn't put in very much, so I didn't get very much back out. That's just how it is. Let's see, like, is it ever possible to, like, yeah, like, to make a route to, like, Glasgow like that? It's got to be from Southeast Asia, like Jakarta or something like that, and then the angle will be right. But from Northern Europe, you're basically flying over the North Pole at that point, or close enough to it so that it kind of looks like that. In order to make these routes, so yeah, every single route to Spain, for example, is going to be used as a stopover route. To it's like for one of these routes to Japan. So yeah, it's just about in the right range to get 5 schedules per week. It's way too long to get 6 schedules per week ever. I don't think a 6 schedule per week stopover is possible in this game, actually. Maybe in the future with like the fastest models of 747, which are Mach 0.86, I believe, it might be possible, but anything less than that, I don't think it's possible. And a Concorde. I don't even know if Concordes reach the range which enable them to be stopover compatible. But if Concordes do, then Concordes could definitely do many schedules per week. And in fact, the schedule per week breakpoint thing I was talking about earlier doesn't actually, the Concordes don't actually care about that very much, because their schedules per week is already so high. But yeah, I mean, anytime you make a Concorde in this game, it's just for fun. It's not really meant to be the most profitable airplane on your fleet, though sometimes it is, because the range at which the Concorde is profitable is actually quite low. Like something like New York to Houston would be a great route for a Concorde, like that kind of range. The problem with that is, as you can imagine, those are the most contested kind of routes, and they're the fewest of those available. So it doesn't always end up being too convenient for the player if you really need to make a route like that. It's hard to find. Hard to find any demand like that. Anyways, with that in mind, as you can see, we're starting to run out of stopover cities in Europe in general from East Asia. That's perfectly okay. Eventually, we're going to have to find another source of stops anyway, and this is just going to be North America. That's going to be when we accept the fact we cannot get 5 schedules per week, and we'll go to the longest range of 4. The longest range of 4 schedules per week is also very profitable, but I like to use it for smaller routes, because as the range of a route increases, the demand decreases. So if I'm using smaller cities, if I fly them at farther ranges, they're still just as easy to fill up. So for routes which are hovering just around 10,000K, or the lower limit of what allows a stopover route, then I want to be flying to the bigger routes, because those are the routes which can support it and never drop off 100%, or in the future fill up larger aircraft. For now, it's kind of just a nice luxury thing to keep my aircraft at 100%. Like, obviously, I could fly tons of these routes, like Tokyo to London. I could fly 3 DC-8s directly, and they'd all be full. But, I mean, the plan is not to fly 3 DC-8s. It's to eventually fly a single 747. So, yeah, with that in mind, let's keep on chugging and keep on opening routes. There's 3 more left. I'm not sure if I'll call this an episode here. I mean, we can keep up with the shorter episodes. I think it works a little bit better for me anyway. And we just want to make sure we use the DC-8s to catch all the routes which are too far for the 320B. Obviously, the 320B is a fantastic aircraft, and it's better for the routes which it can reach. But for the routes which are only available to the DC-8, is that out of range, DC-8? Oh, they're in delivery right now. It's like, I should have a plane which can reach these routes. But yeah, for DC-8s, because they fly a little bit slower, um, and because they're a little bit less economical, they're actually worse than the 320Bs. You'll find they don't make as much money. Um, but the difference is really small at the end of the day. So if you have routes which don't need a 320B, I just recommend using the planes to their maximum range in this game. In real life, that's actually a horrible strategy, or either in more realistic simulators, because actual aircraft kind of have payload limitations as they get close to the maximum range. And this might not matter if the Earth was perfectly nice and the weather was perfectly nice, but there might be wind one day, and like that wind can be the difference because you can get some pretty strong winds, um, which is pretty cool. But yeah, because of that, this game is kind of unrealistic that you always want to fly planes to their max range. That's where they're most efficient usually. It's completely untrue to real life, where real life planes are most efficient somewhere in the middle of their range. Because if you fly too short, then in real life, what's going to happen is you're going to spend a lot of that fuel climbing and descending, which are phases of flight which aren't necessarily that efficient, where cruising is the most efficient. But if you cruise too long, then you get kind of the opposite effect, where you have to carry fuel to keep cruising for so long, and that wastes more fuel. So I can't draw on my screen, but yeah, U-shaped curve for plane efficiency in real life. Um, and obviously none of that is simulated in Air Tycoon Online whatsoever. Um, so yeah, instead we just fly all of our DC-8s or silly planes to their maximum range, to tiny little cities everywhere, because for some reason those make good money. Um, Anyways, let's keep the slot requests rolling in London. We're gonna run out of slots here soon, so I wonder how New York is coming along actually. 33K I'm spending in investments now. As you can see, in London, I'm spending 19K, increasing that name value quite rapidly now. Um, New York, I'm spending 9K, and the name value is halfway there. I'm in no hurry right now, though I should start queuing up more cities now. The main reason is once your first hub is the slowest to fill up, because while you're filling it up, you're the least profitable. As you get more and more profitable, the rate at which you're filling your hubs gets faster and faster and faster and faster until um, it becomes basically meaningless how fast you're filling hubs, because like you're limited by the amount of time you have to play the game. Um, Now that effect takes a lot longer to kick in ATO 3 than previous ATOs, because this is the ATO with the lowest profit margins. Um, I believe so far. ATO 1 was the biggest profit margins and by far the easiest game. It was not uncommon in ATO 1 to have literally like 60% or 50% profit margin. And what that kind of profit margin does is you grow at a rate of about 5% of your value per turn, which is ridiculous because like take an exponent of the number of turn, like use a base of 1.05, which is the growth rate, and then do an exponent of the number of turns there in ATO, and you'll quickly see that you end up with trillion-dollar companies in 1980s, even if that growth rate slows down to 2 or 3% of your value per turn eventually. Now in this game, it's far more mellow. 1 or even 2% of your value per turn is a pretty good haul later on in the game, and as long as your profit margin is above like 20%, you're doing pretty good. So realistic margins, this game definitely has going for it. We can actually make a route like this. Nope, too short. Maybe something like this instead. Yeah, that works. Guangzhou to London to Barcelona. Barcelona Football Club actually won a game today. Thank you for distracting me for a good 90 minutes before my freaking exam, Barcelona. God damn it, I have no self-control. But yeah, it's okay. I say to myself as I'm like freaking like burning dog emoji or whatever the frick, or burning dog meme, is how I'm actually feeling right now. But like, what is this? 5 schedules per week, not a stopover, 70% satisfaction. But he's flying a 707 320B, so he's using credits to boost the range of his planes. By the way, guys, if you have credits, do not boost the range of your planes. It is the worst way to spend your credits. Don't ever spend your crits on something which doesn't last for the whole game. Build stuff which does last for the whole game. Airports, maintenance depots. Hell, if you're really, really active, maybe even fuel depots, but I still would not recommend them due to the fact you don't use them very much of the time. You're usually too busy with sleeping and life and stuff to log on every single turn to fill your fuel tanks, and you can only have 3 in each city, so you can't actually build enough fuel tanks to satisfy all your fuel needs. Where your maintenance depot, 1 maintenance hangar, and magically that can service 300 aircraft flying out of London. Um, I'm not sure if London actually fits 300 aircraft in this game, but I know it does. Is this? That's too far. Oh, I didn't realize. I forgot that the range was more limited than I thought. Ooh, Rio de Janeiro can be reached from London. I had no idea. What about Sao Paulo? Sao Paulo is like quite a bit farther. It's almost like directly away from London. Oh, but it's in range. Perfect. So we found some good candidates for our last 2 cities. The rare stopovers, which are kind of going a weird way. I mean, almost all the other ones just go between like Asia and North America and then to like some city close by London to kind of make the stopover work. But apparently that's not true. Um, for South America. And look at how brilliant a European hub is in general, all right? So if we take a look at Asia and count the number of cities, it's much lower than the number of cities in North America actually and South America. And we add North and South America together because they both kind of face into the Eastern Europe, and like Northern Africa and like the Middle East, for example. So stopovers can be made in that direction. And there's a lot more airports here. Um, than there are airports over here. Like this, with some exceptions, but like this area of the world can never really be directly reached by London profitably. Besides, like with an A350, like 200 or 400 or whatever it's called, A350 500. Yeah, that's what it is. Which has ridiculous range. And I don't know if the 777 200 LR is in this game, but like most of these routes aren't particularly profitable. But if you do decide to make them, you can stop over them into like Africa, so it's not so bad. Um, but yeah, like these routes are the ones which really like are important to get because they are unlocked early in the game because they're just in the range of the DC-8s and whatever, and they're perfectly sized to be really really profitable. Um, like a lot of the nicest middle tier cities are around here where people don't really use them very much. Um, I mean, this is a bad example because somebody's using it right now, but a city like Wuhan, nobody using it, and the city is great. It's 200 200. Um, if you connect to any large city, it's gonna make a really really nice route. I would never recommend basing in a city the size of Wuhan, but I'm just saying like it will connect to any city profitably, basically, which is why I make a whole bunch of routes. My profits stay low. Um, all right. So this is actually a pretty interesting thing. Now I can't look at his company, yet because of the weird like the weird what's it called? Cannot like view airlines before X turn thingy. I don't remember what turn it is. I mean, I'll find that guy's airline when the thing comes. All for friends. Here we go. Yeah, when that comes up. But like, there's a lot of reasons why you can make routes, and your profits are low. Um, and after I make these 2 routes from Rio to London, I can kind of go over some of those. But let me make these 2 first because I'm itching to finish off. Like it bothers me to have just like 2 airplanes left. If I have like 100 airplanes left, I kind of go whatever. It's a lost cause trying to use all of these aircraft. But I have like 2 left. I just gotta use them because then I'll have 0 left, and that's really like satisfying to a human, I guess. Yeah, I'm strange. Anyways, yeah, that's a really good question. Why are you opening routes and you're still not profitable? Now, I can't easily analyze your company unless you tell me where you're based, because it's gonna be difficult to find 16 plane airline, just searching for it on the map. I'm not too interested in doing that because it's gonna take like 25 minutes to find the damn airline if I'm unlucky. So if you message me where you're based, and I'll reply to that guy in a second. Um, I can kind of take a look at why your routes might not be profitable. But the first thing is your services have to be up to par. When I open a route between 2 locations, let's just take one of my routes for example. Let's go with London to Hanzo, one of my most profitable routes. Gotta have 100% service satisfaction. Any route over 1,000 kilometers must have 100% service satisfaction. Otherwise, you lose customers like nothing else. Other things which accept service satisfaction are the type of plane, how old the plane is, and the last time the cabin has been renovated, and the amount of slots and counters. If your slots and counters aren't right, your planes are going to lose out a lot on profitability, because they just won't be 100% full and the margins are thin as is. So make sure they don't have to be what's it called, green, but as long as they're yellow, the passengers don't care. And as soon as it becomes red, it becomes a natural disaster, especially if both are red. I like to make mine close to green because every time I schedule routes, because I know that those routes are going to consume these two things. Like they're going to consume slots, they're going to consume counters, they're going to consume office space. It's going to be required resources soon. So I just preemptively increase that. Another thing is you may be over investing, but if your company is well run, you can invest as much as you like. Um, where is it? Not in cities, because there's infinite cities you can invest in, but in service, where's the darn investment tab? I don't play this game. Okay, there we go. Like enough to, oh yeah, here we go. Like, so these advertising cities, you want to keep this about on par with your investment cost as a general rule of thumb. There's a lot of different ways you can play around this, so it's not mandatory at all. But as you can see, with with maximum customer service investment, I'm still decently profitable. Now, I'm not printing money, like I could be doing if I was not investing in those things, but it's gonna pay off in the long run. Like 45K. I lost a little bit when I ordered new aircraft and didn't schedule them. But yeah, as you can see, it's not bad at all. But the most important thing, and I forgot to mention this earlier, is make sure your planes have the smallest seats available. Like anything else just doesn't make money at all. See, look at my DCA. It's configured with 150 business seats and 50. Is that minimized seating? Hold up, hold up. I have a worry. No, I think it is with only 180 maximum seats. It sounds about right. I'm kind of nervous now though. Hold up. I can't test it. Can I lease one? Okay, this is 176. Let's see if I had minimized the seating. Maybe I forgot to minimize the business class. Oh no, it's about right. Okay, the business class seats just take up a huge amount of space compared to other games I've played. I see. I was like 150 seats. There's supposed to be 190. And I have like what 165, but apparently the business seats just take up an enormous amount of space. So that's fair. But yeah, guys, make sure you have the seats as small as they can go. Otherwise, you'll just make no money. Yeah, that's really important. What else? I mean, that's all I can think of for now. Kind of looking to take a break anyway. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.